Good morning, investors. It's Q&A day on Goat Talk. If you have subject to lease options, seller finance questions, we'll answer all of those for you today. So go get your next cup of coffee or Mountain Dew or whatever it is that you like, and we'll see you back in 45 seconds. Good morning, investors. Good morning, Jody.
Hello. You almost caught me dancing.
Good morning, guys. Welcome to Goat Talk. Goat Talk is our weekly Facebook Live and dancing show.
That's right.
We're coming to you live from Apollo Beach, Florida today. If you're with us on Facebook or YouTube, well, while you're over there, subscribe to our channel. If you're on Facebook, get over to YouTube. We want you to watch us there. And subscribe to the channel while you're there. Let's see. What else? What's going on, Jody?
Well, we're just trying to get this YouTube channel rocking and rolling.
Yeah,
so we want people to watch over there.
Yeah, we just crossed the 1,000 subscriber marks. We're pretty excited about that. Mm-hmm. Today's Q&A day. So if you guys have questions, pop those things in there. We'll get them answered for you. Guys, we just came back from 3.5 days at the Sub2 Max Mastermind, which is our mastermind that we do 3 times a year. Man, what an incredible 3 days. What'd you think about that, Jody?
It was awesome. I mean, you said we do it 3 times a year. That was our first one, but it was like, well, right. That's true. You're right. Mm-hmm. This was the bigger one that went the way we wanted it to. It was like a show.
Right. So, I mean, think about this, guys. If you're not in a mastermind, and you can Google mastermind, see what it is exactly. I was surprised at the number of people that didn't know what a mastermind was or what to expect. But it's not like a regular real estate event. It's not something where you're going to have a lot of speakers there trying to sell you a bunch of stuff. This is literally however many days the mastermind is focused on individual businesses. I mean, you talk about your business, what's going on in it, what you're having problems with, and everybody in the room offers help, suggestions, and those types of things. So it's a really, really cool format.
Well, and some people were like a little disappointed that there was no teaching or training or anything like that, but it's just not what the format's about.
Right.
That's what the other calls are for. So this is just masterminding.
Exactly.
Brainstorming.
Yep. Morning, Damon. Good to see you. Kevin Strong is here with us today, the loan modification guy. Gabby's here. Good to see you. Hope you and Raphael are doing well. Cindy, good to see you. Got some Mac students in here, and several of these guys were at the mastermind. Now, we had 30 people at this mastermind. Like I said, locked in a room basically with us for 3 days. And, if you think that's something that might help your business, check out the Sub2 Max group. And as far as levels of investors, we had all different levels. I was going through the notes that I made from the mastermind, and we've got people inside that room with these kind of goals set for the next 120 days, adding $1,500 per month in cash flow, adding $3,000 a month in cash flow, looking to be closing 8 deals per month on average by September, our next meeting, all the way to people that are just looking to close their first deal. Right. So it's a really diverse group of people. There's something for everybody there. Hey, Neil, good to see you. Neil and his brother Corey were there, and we had a great time meeting those guys. Yeah, and everything. So,
well, they're all locked in the room, but I don't think anybody hated it.
I don't think anybody did
Sounded
it.
bad when you said that at first, like locked him
Right.
in.
There's no escaping. Once you're in there, we got you. But we had a great time. We spent all day, every day together, and then we went out to dinner in the evenings. Had everybody over for a barbecue and a pool party
Yep.
here at our place on Sunday. So we had a fabulous time. If you guys want to take a look at it, check it out, see if it might help your business, you can check us out at sub2max.com. Anyway, if you guys have questions today, let us have those. We've got a few questions here to start things out with. We get questions every single day from people, email, messenger, and such. How to do this, how to do that, and really, we love answering them. So if you guys have questions, let us know what they are, and we'll be glad to help you out with those today. So. Get some comments here. Vincent, hey Vincent, good to see you. Much love from Southern California. Yeah, we talked to Vincent a little bit when we were out there a few months ago. So good to see you. The big takeaways from the mastermind, Jody, I don't know your thoughts on it. Mine would be really these people and investors in general, I find this, they know what to do, but their big problem is consistency and routines.
Yeah,
Choosing
very
something
much consistency.
and then doing it on a consistent basis.
And then, of course, there's that underlying mindset, that
Mhm.
that pesky little problem of mindset sometimes.
Right. That's for sure. I've done a couple of podcasts recently with mindset coaches and those people. It's just amazing how many people feel like that they're just not worthy of success, or their attitudes about money are different.
Well, and I think some people don't. They might not even admit that they don't feel worthy. Some do. Some are aware of that. Some aren't aware of it, and they just wonder why they can't succeed. But I think it's because there's some subconscious stuff going on, and they can't put their finger on it.
Okay.
So,
yeah, I agree. Well, when I talked to Joan, she's one of the podcasts. Joan Sotkin, she was one of the money and mindset coaches, and she said people associate money with evil. We hear about it all the time. If you go to court, you have to make sure all your paperwork's in order because the judge tends to side with the tenants because the evil landlord that's got all the money. So we just have this association. The rich people are evil, and they're just horrible people. So we have this subconscious, on some subconscious level, we feel like having money's bad. And we may not even be aware of it.
They feel guilty about being successful or having money.
For sure. Hey, Chris Adamski, man, we missed you a bunch. Chris, Neil's got a question. He says, do you use a third-party servicer on your sub-2 deals or handle it all yourself? Neil, I'll tell you, forever, I have said that I think having a third-party servicer is a waste of money. The reason I feel that way is because it's just historically, in the beginning when I got started, of course, we didn't hear about third-party servicers over 20 years ago. And then as they started, there were some of them, and they just didn't do a good job. If you counted on them to collect your buyer's payments, a lot of times buyer wouldn't pay. You wouldn't know about it. They didn't do a very good job of reporting. And now with everything being online, like we set our buyers up with ACH. I mean, that money just gets drafted out of their account and deposited into ours. And you can also set up payments for your sub-2 properties to be handled the same way. So it's just really easy to do it. Now, some states do have regulation regarding, the use of a third-party servicer if you create nodes. And I've had several people say to me, well, it's illegal for you not to use a third-party servicer. And my advice to you would be, what are the penalties? Okay, I always ask that question. We get told all the time something is illegal. For example, speeding is illegal. When's the last time you did it? Well, when you speed, you might get a ticket, and you probably have a decent idea of what that ticket may cost. You make a determination of what are the chances of you getting caught? Is it worth the price that you pay? And I do that on a lot of things. What's that?
You roll the dice.
Yeah, you do. So, I mean, is it a felony if you get caught not using a third-party servicer? Well, you might want to use one, but is it just something that you can say, "Oh man, I didn't know," and then you make a decision then if you want to do it or not? I don't know. You'll have to know your state laws. We tell everybody that you need to know how things work in your particular state. So, do I use a third-party servicer? No, I don't. But I may not operate in a state where it's required. To be honest with you, I don't even know if states we operate require it because I've never checked into that. I know for a fact Georgia has some laws regarding it now, but I know all kind of investors who don't use it in Georgia anyway. So check it out, see what they say, what the penalties are, make a decision then. Morning, Matt. Good to see you here with us this morning. Damon said sometime in the last 2 years you recommended someone who offers a title summary, not a full report. It was lower cost, quicker, and enough for our purpose. I've searched but cannot find it. Do you remember who I'm talking about? Thank you. And that's just going to be your local title company.
Yeah, that's not a particular service.
Right. That's going to be a current owners and encumbrances report known as an O&E.
Well, and some people call it something else. When I lived in Wisconsin, it was called something else. Right. So it depends on, you might have to explain them to them a little bit what it is, and they'll go, oh, we call it this. And
right.
So yeah, so it just has different names.
So chances are, if you're in a title company state, they can do that for you at a very low cost. And I've even heard of some that'll do it for free for your business.
If you're a repeat customer, they'll just do it for free.
Right. If you're in an attorney state, chances are you ain't going to get that. They're just not going to do it. But with a title company state, just make a few calls, check it out, ask them, obviously what it is, what they call it, and ask them if they can do that for you and what the cost will be. I've heard of them being anywhere from $5 to free. And with most sub-2s, that's really all that you need. I'm telling you, the vast majority of these deals you're going to buy subject to are financed with an institutional lender. They've had a full title report and title insurance before, and you're just not, unless your current buyer's been in a lot of trouble most of the time, it's pretty simple stuff. I hope that helps. School me. If I sell my property on contract for deed, who gets the tax benefits? The seller or still the owner? Well, if you sell it, you don't own it. And remember, even on a contract for deed, your buyer gets all the rights of ownership. Now, if I take a property subject to and I rent it or I sell it on a lease option, I keep the tax benefits, the depreciation, writing off the interest income. If I sell it, whether that's on a wrap or a contract for deed, then my buyer gets that. I can still write off the interest I pay on my underlying loan as a business expense, but my buyer gets the tax deduction. And of course, nobody depreciates it. So you pass that on to your buyer. And of course, your seller gets nothing because they're out of the deal. Right?
Right.
Right. Okay. Cool.
That's right. That's right.
Great. You guys give us your questions. We'll take care of you today. Dawn said, hey, Dawn, good to see you. My concern is with notes and tracking the interest paid and protection where the servicer will hold the deed. What are your thoughts on that? Well, let me tell you, if you do it yourself or you have your bookkeeper do it or whatever, we run an amortization program that tells us what the interest paid and tracks the note pay down. And I mean, you can be as manual or as techie with that as you want to. When I first got started, I printed those off, put them in a binder for that property. And then every month I would go through and mark the next month's off with a highlighter. Or you can have that on spreadsheets or however you want to do it. If you're using a servicer, I'm not sure what you mean about the servicer holding the deed, but they should track where your buyer is as far as principal pay down and interest paid, and also send out the tax form at the end of the year for your buyer. They should handle that and should know how to do it. If you're doing it yourself, it's a pretty simple process. and I've always pretty much taken care of that myself. So, but if you're using a servicer, they should be tracking all that with some kind of note software for you and be able to send you a report or anything that it is that you need. I wish I could remember Chris 70's company. I talked to them about their servicing company a few months ago. They're very affordable. I think they're only about $25 a month to handle everything for you. But the one thing I didn't like about it was that they don't, a lot of people think about servicers and say, okay, well, this is how a servicer works. Every month, my buyer sends in their payment. The servicer sends me a check, sends the lender a check, and they handle all of that, and then they do the bookkeeping. But Chris's company said that they don't pay the lender, that for some reason they can't get involved in that transaction. And we actually have to ACH pay the lender on our sub-2 deal anyway. So I thought, well, if I've got to do all that,
Point.
yeah, if I can get my buyer to ACH to me, I can ACH to the lender and keep the difference. Why do I have to pay $25 per note
Right.
every month to do that? And they seemed like a good company, and very, price wise, it was very affordable and very reasonable. I've heard of note servicing companies charging $75 a month to do that. But let's think about this for a minute. If let's say I hold a portfolio of 50 properties and I'm paying $25 a month for each one to be serviced, and they're not even doing the payment to the lender, gosh,
So
what's
what
that?
part do they do? They pay some other part of it?
They accept the payment from the buyer and forward it to me, is my understanding. But it's tracking. I think what a lot of people are looking for is that makes the note that you create more sellable on the market to note buyers. But I'm not looking to sell notes anyway.
Yeah.
I want to hold those things long term. So, that may be the difference. But I hope I didn't confuse you on that. But your servicer is not going to hold the deed. They're actually just going to facilitate the exchange of money one way or the other. So that's what they do. But Vincent says, what's the difference between contract for deed and a land contract? Can you explain how they work? Well, there's not a difference, Vincent. They're both the same thing. Yeah, it's just terms. Some places it's called bond for deed or agreement for deed, land contract, contract for deed. They're all basically the same.
Kind of a regional thing.
Yeah. And what they are really is Vincent, if you buy a house from me, there's several ways you can do it. You can buy it for cash, in which case you buy the house, you get title to it. I'm out of the transaction. You can purchase it on a wrap, where I actually create a new note that's recorded at the courthouse. And, I'll act as the bank for you. You send me the payments. If there's an underlying note, I'll pay that. Or you can buy on a contract for deed, which is what we prefer, where we actually give our buyer all the rights of ownership except for legal title. We still stay at the courthouse as the owner of record, but our buyer gets all the other rights of ownership. They can deduct their interest paid. They can claim a homestead exemption. They can improve the property. They can do anything any other buyer can do, but we keep legal title. They get something called equitable title and bundle of rights of ownership. So it's just as good for them in every case. But it's better for us, because if you sell a house to someone and finance it and you give them legal title and they go out and get into some kind of trouble, maybe they get liens or judgments, and then they quit paying, you would have to foreclose at that point to foreclose off all of those other liens or judgments to get a clean title back. You can't just take a deed in lieu of foreclosure. You would still have those liens and judgments to deal with. But if we keep legal title, then our buyers can't do anything to cloud up the title. So that's why we prefer it. Right?
Right.
Right. Okay. So hope that helps. But that's what we like. We like selling contract for deed or land contract.
Yes, we do.
Call it. Hey, Luke, good to see you. Morning, kids. Neil says, William.
Is that a goat joke?
I guess. Maybe it is. William, how do you handle the ACH payments? Is there a specific form for that? If you're talking about how our buyers pay us, we use a service called Clear Now, and you're inside the Max group. I think we have a link. I think if you go to sub2deals.com/clear now, you actually get a deal through us where you can get the first 2 months free. They charge about $7 a month to actually handle the ACH payments and process those for you. So it's a lot less expensive than a servicer. As far as the form, we have our buyers fill out a form when we put them in the house that says they agree to ACH payments. We make sure they have a bank account. But you know how we structure our deals anyway. We make sure we're not just selling buyers a house. We're actually providing a credit restoration, home ownership experience. Okay, our goal is to get providing a credit restoration. I don't know what that was.
I'm sorry,
but it's a whole package, really. We want to help them rebuild their credit within the next 36 months, and part of that is they need a bank account. So we just get them to sign an agreement. It should be inside the Max group there. If it's not, I can get you one. That says that they agree to ACH payments, they're opening a checking account, and that they'll have enough money in there to make the payment, or they're in violation of their agreement with us. So
I clicked over to Facebook to see who said the hey.
Mm-hmm.
Right there.
I think that was that. Yeah. And who's that?
But I clicked over, and then that's why the recording played.
Okay.
All right.
So Facebook user, if you'll go to streamyard.com/Facebook, is that it? I think that's it. Then we'll know who you are. We can say good morning to you. Okay. Let's see. We've got Phil Smith in the house. Good to see Phil. Phil was here at our Mastermind. Man, we had a great time with you guys. Let's see. Sandy, love the show. Man, we love you, Sandy. Thanks for saying that.
You should show them the goat we got.
I should. Well, it's way across the room. And if I get up, people will know I don't have pants on. Well, actually,
today you actually do.
I do today. We were talking about that at the
meeting.
Only time. But man, my guys gave me this awesome goat. It's got this recording thing on it that's got all these recordings from our goat talks, our travels across the country. Is fantastic.
It's got the Yankee talk in there and everything.
We have the best students in the whole world. That's for sure. Dave says, what are your best lead sources for sub-twos currently? Dave, the best lead sources currently, believe it or not, are wholesalers. Our last, 4, 6 leads have come from wholesalers. And you've got to network with those guys. And we heard that across the board at the Mastermind, too. A lot of people networking with wholesalers and buying houses.
Yeah.
So that's my recommendation to you. We went all out on it. We set up a web page for them to sign up, and we've got VAs that post inside the group saying, hey, we're looking for your dead leads. We'll either train you on how to do creative finance or we'll pay you for the leads. And they come and they sign up. And then we created a specific workflow inside of our CRM that once we've got them, you know how a lot of times wholesalers blast out to everybody. Well, we remind them, we tap them on the shoulder 2 or 3 times a month. Say, hey, what you got? We want to buy a house this week. So we actually do that. So that's
got a lot of questions here.
A lot of what?
Got a lot of questions.
A lot of questions. Okay, we're moving.
Yeah, moving you along a little bit.
Okay, school me. So if the buyer defaults on a contract for deed, what would you do to take it back? Well, my advice to anyone who does seller financing is to handle things just a little bit differently than what you commonly hear. Now, one thing we do, of course, we talk directly with our buyers. We don't have disposition people. I mean, we just don't buy that many houses. And my focus for the last 10 years has been 10 or 15 a year, and that's it. So I can actually have a conversation with my buyers. So I know them a little bit. I know a little bit about them. I don't use a servicer, so I know right away if they're paying me. And if they're late on their payment, we're going to reach out to them, okay, and say, hey, Joe, haven't got your payment in this month. I saw your name on this report that I get, and just wondering what's going on. Is there something we can do to help? What's happening? We try to get the story. It's just as important to get that defaulted buyer story as it is to get that seller story. Okay, so we try to determine what's going on, if it's something that's fixable, if there's a way we can help. Now, remember, our buyers give us 8 to 10% down on a house. So if we're talking about a $200,000 house, they probably gave us somewhere between 18 and 20,000 down. So they've got an investment there. Now, if it turns out it's a temporary fix, something that maybe they just got sick or they missed a couple of weeks of work, they're going to be caught up next month. We'll work with them on that. If this is something that looks like it's going to be a little bit more long-term, listen, I lost my job, I'm getting a divorce, and I know that they can't afford that payment, we're going to ask those hard questions. Well, okay, Joe, so if you guys are getting a divorce and, based on your income, you can't afford the payment, what's your plan? We're going to ask those hard questions. Well, I'm going to have to move. Okay, well, let's see what we can do to make this easy for you. I don't want a defaulted buyer that's just going to decide to sit it out in the house until I have to force them out. A lot of times we'll offer them money right off the bat. What can I do to help you get reestablished in your new place? Okay, if I got somebody that gave me 20 grand down, I'm okay with giving them a couple of thousand back if they can be out of the house quickly and I can get my next buyer in. So that's what we try to do. As far as hiring attorneys, anytime you have to call an attorney into the transaction, everybody's going to lose. If you're going to have to write a check, it might as well be to your buyer to get them out quickly and cleanly, as opposed to whoever, Do We Cheat Them and How LLC. I would much prefer giving the money back to the buyer. So that's what I think about it anyway. Is that right, Jody?
Yes. I feel like I'm just here to look pretty.
Well, and you do a fine job of that. We can
like,
let you take out. I'm doing all the talking. You should do some talking.
I know.
I'm going to shut up. I'm going to shut up.
You're good. You're good.
You want to take one?
No.
Okay. All right. Well,
I'm just gonna manage the questions over here.
Okay. Well, you do that for me then. You manage
the them up because.
All right. Cindy said homeowner experience. Love it. Yeah. I mean, you know what? It's so much more. We had this conversation. Somebody made a post after the mastermind. There's so much more to real estate than just buildings and land. It's a people experience. And that includes our sellers and our buyers and the investors that we network with, everybody. It really is more to it. So, Maria, sorry, not subject to because she owns it outright. I need some context.
Yeah, I don't know.
For that.
Wait, I see there's one right there. It is.
Okay. I have a property in upstate South Carolina. I have under contract that would be a great subject to. I'm not able to close on it myself. Would you be interested in purchasing it? Great comps, great conditions, a lot of dead leads that are too high. Maria's my new best friend.
Yeah. Messages.
Maria, and what was the second part to that question? There was another part. Sorry, not subject to. She owns it outright. If she's a seller finance candidate, I want it. Maria, get ready to be bombarded with all of these guys on here. Okay. Right. But remember, you're my new best friend. So message me directly, please. Message me directly. Let me know what you got. We'll take everything that you got. If they make sense, we want them.
And the rest of you guys stay away.
That's right. Leave Maria alone. Okay. So that would be fantastic. All right.
Here's Sarah. I hope Sarah's feeling better.
Good morning, Sarah. Hope you're feeling good. We were worried about you, so glad to see you.
Well, over the weekend.
Yeah. Okay. What else we got?
Troublemaker. Okay.
There's Prop Daddy. Y'all go check out Prop Daddy. He is an amazing marketer, investor. Just a great guy. He was in our mastermind.
Caused a lot of trouble this weekend.
Yeah, he caused a lot of trouble this weekend. But it's good to see him on here this morning, too. All right. What else? Don said, I have a deal under contract. Seller just got a loan mod. I'm purchasing sub 2. Found out the seller also has a second lien for $43,000, 0 interest due on sale. Some kind of loan mod, FHA offered during COVID. I'm a bit concerned taking sub 2. So Dawn, in a situation, I'm sorry.
Nothing. I just thought that was interesting.
Yeah. Well, they're all due on sale. Don, is this one? This was during COVID, so I would need to know a little bit more about that. I'd need to see the paperwork to see. I mean, there are some deals you'll run into where a buyer got down payment assistance, and those can be a little bit tricky because in some cases they will come after that. They're usually for small amounts, $10,000, $20,000. But if they do find out the title transferred, they want that paid off right away because that was either first-time home buyer or some type of local down payment assistance. Now, something during COVID, I don't know. I would need to see the paperwork on that to see how worried I would be. But here's the bottom line on it. Are you putting any cash into this? Are they walking away? You're not putting anything into it. If you're not, you can't lose anything. If your intent is to rent this thing out, if it still has any type of equity, you have to look at all those things. So if it's got equity where you could sell it or possibly refinance it, if this second became an issue, then you're fine. If you're putting no money into it and you decide to rent it out and make cash flow off of it, and the second becomes an issue down the road, again, you have no problems because you don't have anything in it to lose. So that information is important in evaluating that. But ultimately, you need to see the paperwork with that second and see if it would be a problem. If it were a loan modification, Kevin may be able to help us with that. And I know he was on here earlier, but I'm not sure if he's still here with us now. So he might be somebody you can tag inside the group. He's inside $7 coaching too, so you can tag him and maybe he can offer us, or maybe he can come on here and do it. Okay, that's great. Sarah's home and feeling okay. Excellent.
Great.
Good to know. Good to see that. All right. Sounds awesome. It sure does, Maria. Maria,
awesome.
I'm excited. When this is over, I want to hear from you. So let's see what you got going on. All right. How was your mastermind? Oh my gosh.
Yeah, we talked about that earlier, but it was amazing.
It was. We had a great time. How many comments did we get? This is the best real estate event I've ever been to.
Many. Like, I don't think anybody said it's exactly what I expected or worse. Everyone thought it was better, or at least the same, if not better.
So I really looking forward to September's when all these people are held accountable for the goals that they set, and making sure that they get those done. So and that's what the follow-up part is with Sub 2 Max inside the group between the masterminds. You know, how can we hold you accountable and help you meet your goals? So yeah, we had a great time. Sorry you weren't there. Maybe next time. So see you in this group. Hey, Mark, good to see you this morning. Mark's one of our Sub 2 Max students that was at the mastermind. Peter, another student that was there. Good to see you guys hanging out with us this morning.
The limo guy?
Yeah. Okay. Let's talk, Maria. See, there's Mark. I'm a buyer for sale. No, Mark. Mark's not. Mark, you stay in Texas and the other 47 states. You leave Maria alone now. She's going to talk to us later today. Okay. Penn, how do you feel about the latest letter from the South Carolina RE Commission regarding wholesaling? As someone who doesn't wholesale, I don't think too much about all this wholesaling legislation. I've probably done half a dozen wholesale deals in my life, and they were all pretty much accidental. Somebody called me with a deal that was obviously a deal, but maybe not the type of house that I'm interested in. And all I did was call up somebody that I knew, used rentals or whatever in those neighborhoods. What I think is there's probably a way to operate within the law that you just haven't come up with yet, whether that's getting a license, working with a licensed agent as a partner, flipping houses in an LLC or even a trust. I know there have been several laws regarding wholesaling in several states in the last couple of years. And guess what? Every state still has wholesalers. So you just have to find a creative way to work within the law that still allows you to do the things that you want to do. What I can tell you is you can probably expect a lot more legislation coming because the
that's what they do.
realtors don't like. I'm sorry?
Because that's what they do.
That's what they do. Lawmakers make laws. Realtors don't like wholesalers. And with some of the stuff that's getting taught to creative finance investors today, if this market tanks and a lot of these loans go bad because people were taught to buy houses that can only cash flow as Airbnbs and things like that, then we can expect some legislation, I'm afraid, with creative finance and sub 2 as well. We hope that doesn't happen, but just, do right by the homeowner, do right by your buyer, and let's try to stay out of trouble.
There's still always ways to work around it. I mean, legally, but there's still ways to get around things.
Right. That's right. Okay, y'all give us your questions, and we'll answer them for you, or do our best to
follow up on that.
Double closings for you. Hey, and if that's what you got to do,
right.
It costs you a little more money.
But that's the workaround. You know?
That's it. Less of something. I think that's a modification on that saying, but less of something is better than all of nothing. So if that's the only way you can do the deal, then that's what you do.
Right.
For sure. Mark, well, I only posted that based on what she said about passing it on. Don't get me in trouble. See what she said. I'm not here to take anyone's deals. Just help buy what they might pass on. We need more people closing deals. Hey, Mark, we're just playing. Yeah. But Maria, don't talk to Mark. Really, I'm serious about that. I'm just joking, Mark. There's plenty for everybody, and you know me. So we're just trying to buy a few houses too. We just want a few. Wayne said, where do you go online to log in to the $7 membership? Wayne, if you have signed up for the $7 coaching, all you have to do is go to the Facebook group and request to get in, and we'll let you in. And Jody may have
already paid for that. And just go to Facebook. I think if you just type in $7 coaching, it should come up.
Right. And if you do that and give them your login information, we'll get you right in there. So we want to get you in the group. So good to have you as a member. And anybody else that's interested in the most affordable, I'll let you share the link, Jody, the most affordable creative finance and real estate coaching on the planet. I guarantee that. Just go to $7coaching.com. I'll answer your questions personally every week, and we'll have a good time in there. So what else we got? We have other questions? There you go. $7 coaching. So, all right.
Yeah, it's great.
While Jody's looking for the next question, I'll talk about this while she's getting the questions lined up. Another thing that for some reason we hear a lot about lately are VA loans. We talked for several minutes about them at the mastermind, in fact, because so many investors and, of course, people selling that have VA loans don't understand how they work. Just here's some information for you so you'll know moving forward. First of all, can I do sub 2 on a VA? Absolutely, you can. In fact, they've been one of our favorites for years. I mean, let's talk about a motivated seller for a minute. If you use a tool like PropStream or any kind of data tool where you can look up information on loans and properties and sellers, most people with the big advantage for people that can use the VA loan is they don't have to put any money down. So it's very common to go and see someone has, let's say, a $300,000 property. They bought it for $300,000, but they financed $310,000 because they roll all these costs in. They have zero equity.
So they can't afford a realtor.
That's right. And they get orders sometimes a year later. They haven't had a chance to pay down any principal, and they haven't seen much appreciation. And guys, I know you're hearing this day and night. Home values are going through the roof everywhere, but there are several pockets around the United States that's just not happening in. So you run into these people. They bought a house. They rolled all their costs in. They get orders. They've got to be across the country in 60 days, and they need to sell. They're an excellent candidate for a sub 2. And so a lot of times their biggest question at that point is, well, I need this paid off because I want to use my VA loan again. Well, you can have multiple VA loans. A lot of people don't know this. You can have two. And we learned this weekend, you can have three if you have some extenuating circumstances. One of our Max students is in the military and has run into a situation where you can actually get a third VA loan simultaneously. So you can get multiple loans.
And there's the cap is gone too. So, I mean,
Right.
it doesn't matter how much the house costs.
Right. As long as you make enough money to cover the debt to income, then they can still qualify. And the next question we get a lot is the sub-2 process different if you're buying VA? And the answer is no. It's no different. It's the same process. Contract with your seller, verify the loan information, do your title work, do your inspection on your property, buy the house, period. That's it. No different paperwork, nothing different. So yes, you can.
VA loans. I think the reason I like that list is because they're just moving a lot too. So a lot of them are moving after a short period. So like most of them are a good candidate.
Yep. Okay. So we have more questions?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Let's see.
How do you handle the insurance on a sub-2? I wrote an article and also did a podcast on the specific breakdown on how to handle insurance on a sub-2. And I don't know if Jody can pull that up. You can just go to our YouTube channel here, which you're already on here, and do a search for insurance on a sub-2, and it'll pull that podcast up. And you can also go to sub2deals.com and read the article. But in a nutshell, Chris, this is what we do. When you buy a property subject to, chances are your homeowner has a policy already. Well, the minute you take title and you close on it, that insurance is not going to be any good. Now, some people will tell you just add yourself to that policy and you're going to be good, but that's not true. You will not have a valid policy. It will not pay off in a claim situation. What you want to do is get a new policy with however you took title, whether that's Chris, whether that's Chris's LLC, whether that's Chris's trust. However you took title, whoever's on the deed will be the primary loss payee. You will also add yourself, your business you're operating under, your property management company, if you use one, and your seller as additional insureds on that new policy. Okay. Make sure your seller's name is on there as an additional insured. Your mortgage company, when they get the new insurance declaration page, is going to look for that. When they see your seller's name, it'll make them feel all warm and fuzzy, and they're going to be okay. So that, in a nutshell, is how you handle it. Go check out that article. Go check out our podcast, and it will tell you in detail, step by step, how to do it. It's really a simple process, but you do need to get a new policy. Don't keep your homeowner's existing policy. It will not be valid for you. Okay. Next. Nope. Is that it? Are we out?
Not quite.
Okay. Well, while we're looking for so Penn says, what is the best way to approach an attorney that may not be familiar with sub-2? I live in a small town where creative finance is rare. Well, Penn, I'm not sure what town you're in, but I would look for the closest real estate investing network you've got there, closest RIA that you have where investors meet and talk. And I would talk to them about who they're using to do their closings. That is the best way to find an attorney, short of just getting out the book and calling up every attorney or title company there. Find other investors, ask them who they're closing with, and that's how you'll find somebody to do your closings for you. And it's getting tough. I mean, it's a little tougher than it used to be to find somebody that'll even do them. There are a lot of, especially title companies, refuse to do sub-2 closings now because they say it will impact their ability to do closings for FHA or government-backed loans, because basically they're just afraid of the implications. And that's why another thing that I recommend for all creative finance investors is to learn how to self-close. And that's a pretty easy process too, to do. In fact, we just put together a mini course on creative finance, tabletop, kitchen closings. And you can find that if you guys want to check it out. It's at Sub2 University. That's SUB, the number 2, university.com. And it'll teach you how to do a self-closing for those times that you can't find an attorney to do it. So you guys
you
can
leaked it out.
I did. And most people, we haven't even released that yet, but we put together an educational website called Sub2 University, and we haven't officially launched it yet, but you can go check it out. So, but really the simplest tip is find other investors, find your closest RIA and ask them who they're using. What state are you in? Tell us what state you're in. We may know somebody there locally that can help you. Okay.
That was for Penn.
That was for Penn. So,
okay.
Looks like Gabby has a question in here. Mark says, how about doing a Zoom training just on targeting those VA loans? Many of us are very interested in this topic. Mark, inside Sub2 Max, there's actually a video showing you how to use PropStream to target VA loans. So if you're using PropStream, I think you are, then you can go in there and just pull those VA loans right out of it and do direct mailings or cold call them or whatever it is that you want to do.
And beyond pulling the list, it's just the same.
Right.
Yeah.
But you'll know then, who's got them, so you can target them any way you want to. And the best approach with VA loans, other than people just calling you off of your random marketing, is to do a drip mail campaign, because if you do a mailing to them that may be a postcard every couple of months for a year, if they're seeing your postcard or your message every month or two, you can do a 6-piece mailing with Print Genie for like $3, and that covers the whole year. A mailing every couple of months, they'll see you for a whole year for $3. You can mail out to a list in a targeted area, and somebody's going to move during that time. So, maybe you'll be the one they call. Okay. While we're looking for the next question. Okay, here we go. What are your thoughts on midterm rentals, traveling nurses versus short-term Airbnb?
We missed that question. It was a little bit ago, and he's like, "What about my question?"
Okay. What are my thoughts on those? We don't do short-term rentals because I don't like rentals. Okay. I don't want to be a landlord. That's just me.
We don't like long or short.
We don't. I love staying in them. We've been living in long-term rentals or Airbnbs for the last year. I think they're great, but I think there's a lot. The hotel industry doesn't like it, especially Airbnb. And they're doing all they can to shut it down. I had an interesting conversation. We're actually in an Airbnb right now, and the landlord uses it for both. He uses it for long-term rentals and for just short-term Airbnb. And so we had the company that it's actually Vacasa that manages it for the Airbnb part. And so we hired the cleaning company that does all the Vacasa stuff. Oh, Beaufort's great, man. I used to vacation in Beaufort. Is Hunting Island completely gone yet? I know that place was about washed away. But so you're in South Carolina. I know there's some creative finance people in South Carolina, but you may have to drive a little bit. Probably not Beaufort, but what's Charleston? Probably. But those guys probably close all over. So we'll come back to that. So what were we talking about? Airbnb. So we had the Airbnb cleaning company for Vacasa come over to do the cleaning on the house. And so while he was here a couple of weeks ago, I asked him, I said, so tell me something that I suspect, because we've been staying in Airbnbs for a year. And when we first got started a year ago, I could go in, do some search parameters for things we were looking for, and it would get pretty narrow down to, 10, 15 properties that met our criteria. Now I can go into pretty much any big city, still do a narrowing down, still do, drilling down on some things, and have 300 plus properties. So I suspect Airbnbs are more popular out there. There's a bunch more of them, and they're not all staying full. And he said, you're right. He said, there's a lot more vacancy right now. There are a lot more properties, And there are actually a lot of owners that are getting out of it because the market's getting a little bit saturated. So that's something to think about with Airbnb. Now, the longer term thing, I don't know because, I mean, I know the traveling nurses was a really big thing when COVID was big. So I'm not sure anymore. Now, we love them, but I don't know how many of us there are out there, that stay for an extended period of time. So I really can't tell you about that. But Airbnb, I think that's a dangerous business model for the future because the hotel industry is doing all they can to stop it. Penn, not yet. They've done some improvements to Hunting Island. I know that place used to be beautiful, and it used to rent cabins out there, but I think all of the cabins have washed away now. That erosion issue there was unbelievable. Every year you would go back in the shoreline, you couldn't even recognize the place. It was just crazy. So, yeah. How do I find Sub 2 Max? It's easy. You go to sub2max.com, SUB, the number 2. I think we have a banner for that
or sub2university.com.
Sub2 University will take you there too. So, yep. SUB, the number 2 max.com or SUB, the number 2 university.com. Both of them will get you there. We'd love to have you in the group. So let's see. I've got a question here. Okay, Chris, one last question on that matter. What type of policy would I ask for from an insurance company? I'll definitely check out the article as well. That really depends on, first, your insurance company and how you're selling the property. Now, if you're selling it on a true wrap, like you probably will have to do in Texas, it's probably going to be a homeowner's policy. Okay. If you're selling it on a contract for deed, that's going to depend on your insurance company. I've seen some that wanted you to have a landlord policy, and I've seen some that wanted a homeowner's policy, depending on your dispo of that property. So ask your insurance company, tell them the situation, what you're doing. If you're selling on a contract for deed, or you're selling on a wrap, or you're renting it. If you're going to rent it, then obviously it's going to be a landlord policy. So that may be different depending on who your insurance company is. So I would ask them. And hey, man, ask all the questions you want because we got answers and we'll make more. Dawn, I have heard you talk about doing self-closings. Can you explain that a bit more? Dawn, self-closing a transaction is just a really, really simple process. Now, I think we have an article and probably a podcast on it as well if you'll just do that search feature in YouTube or at sub2deals.com. But really,
Sub2 University.
Or Sub2 University. The process is really simple. Let's just condense it here really quickly. If I get a property under contract, the contract's the same, and then I just go through the process. What do? I typically get if it's remote, I'm going to get my pictures, my video, do an inspection, whatever it is that I need to do. I'm going to get my loan verification information from the lender. How much do they owe? Are there any arrears? All the facts and figures regarding the loan that's in place. Then I'll order a title report, and I'll either do that from an attorney or a title company, depending on what kind of state I am and who I use. Once I get that, I'll prepare the closing documents, okay? And I can do that myself as a principal in the transaction. Now, I can't prepare closing documents for you, Dawn, if you're buying a Sub2, because I'm not an attorney. In a lot of states, that's practicing law without a license. But if I'm a principal in the transaction, I'm certainly free to do that. Now, at that point, all I'll do is hire a mobile notary. Chances are that's the way we handle it. Hire a mobile notary, send them the documents, have them meet with the seller and get all the documents executed. Once that's done, my mobile notary will go to the courthouse, record the deed, and send me all of the documents. It's really just that simple. You're going to do the exact same process that you would do if an attorney closed it. And that's what we do. And gosh, we closed hundreds of those that way. And I'll tell you this, it's never about saving money. It's always about speed or convenience. If I have a seller call me 2 days before the foreclosure auction, chances are I'm not going to have an attorney that can get title work done and get that done for me. But I have contacts at the courthouse. I can call, get a title report done, and I can send a mobile notary out to get a deed signed and notarized, get a power of attorney signed and notarized. and get those things done. If I have somebody that needs to sell very quickly, I'll do it in that case. If I can't find an attorney or title company to close for me, then I'll get it done in that case. Otherwise, if there's a ready, capable, and willing attorney or title company and we have time, by all means, close with those guys.
It's kind of scary the first time, but then after that, it's easy.
Jody did her very first sub too and self-closed it, right?
Yep.
She's more
Before
than
I knew you, so I didn't have a help. I mean, you helped me, but you weren't.
Right. We walked her through the process. We have a sub 2 max student that just did his first sub 2 deal a few weeks ago and came on a couple of calls with us to get the instruction and did his self-closing. Talked to him last week, and I asked him how'd it go, and he said it was great. We did it, put a buyer in place, pocketed a few $1,000s on the front end. Now we got cash flow. It's just not complicated. Think about what a title company does. Is there anything they do you can't do? The answer is no, it's not. Cindy, I have a USDA deal and the seller's given me the POA and later reneged on it, so I have no POA. He died last year, so I don't have my own insurance policy. It's a rental adjoining my personal home. I cringe every time a tornado comes through. So I don't understand, Cindy, why you don't have your own insurance policy. You can go out and insure that yourself, insure that that property, even if you're paying that additional money every year just for an insurance policy outside of the one you may be paying through escrow. You know, some people will tell you that that's insurance fraud. You can't have two policies. They won't pay off.
You just can't collect on two.
A lot of that is intent, Cindy. All you're trying to do is insure that property. Okay. And we can have a discussion about that later. Cindy's one of our Max students, but ask your insurance company about that. Okay. I run into investors occasionally that are afraid to bother the insurance policy that's in place in escrow. So they go out, they get their own insurance policy that doesn't name the lender, and they just pay for that for peace of mind. Is it something you should do? Well, no, you don't have to do that. But yeah, that's what I would do in their case. They can probably take care of that for you. But worst case scenario, you can just pay for a secondary policy. That'll take care of things for you. Good questions, guys. Have we got something else?
Eugene.
Okay. How do you find a mobile notary? Look, Google mobile notary Anytown, USA. Yeah, I guarantee you there'll be 1,000 of them. And there's some specific notary websites too, but these days it's very common.
Yeah.
And we were even talking at the Max group. We've got a couple of investors there that use online notaries now. That's a little high tech for old school people. But I'll tell you this too. For a lot of these people, getting someone in front of them makes it easier for them. When you try to do everything online, I think that scares some people, especially people that aren't super young.
And also, the mobile is better because when I did my first one, I had to arrange for him because I didn't really think about a mobile notary, and so I had to try to arrange for him to come to the bank where it was free, and then I had to there was a problem, so we had to do it again. I had to schedule when he was not at work, and it was like a big pain. So if we could have just had them come to him, it would have been a lot easier.
Okay. We missed Gabby's question up here.
Oh, I didn't see that one. That's why I'm trying to use these little check marks on here. You see that?
Oh, I don't know how that works.
I'm playing with this.
That's way high tech. Before we run out of time, I wanted to make sure that we get to that. We're going to try to get to everybody's question here today.
Okay, pop it in there.
I don't see it. I lost it. So
is this the one?
Maybe that's the second part, I think.
Oh yeah.
Okay. We're getting ready to buy a house, seller financing. I prepared a contract for deed. However, my lawyer told me to do it as a real estate purchase agreement and create a mortgage. She told me contract for deed does not give enough protection in case seller wants to sell to someone else or doesn't give me title at the end. What do you think about it? Gabby, I think your lawyer gave you excellent advice. Remember, we never, ever, ever buy on contract for deed. We always get title, always. We sell on contract for deed all day long. But when we purchase, you got a seller finance deal there. You definitely want to give her a note and mortgage. Okay. You want title. Buy on a wrap, buy with seller financing, get title, sell on a contract for deed. Okay. Remember that. It's very important. But your lawyer gave you excellent advice in that case.
Okay. We got a couple left. We're not
All
try to
right.
get them in before we run out.
What is your cheapest marketing channel currently and historically? Cheapest marketing channel historically, foreclosures. Foreclosures come out, go knock on the door. Did that for years and years and years, bought 2 or 3 a month. Currently, wholesalers. Doesn't cost you a dime. Make a phone call, send a Facebook Messenger, reach out to them any way you can. They market like crazy all the time. 95% of the deals don't fit their criteria. They're going to pitch them, get them to pitch them to you, pay them if you make a deal with them.
And Zillow FSBOs are cheap too.
Zillow FSBOs are cheap too, but that requires some stuff. You got to scrape them. You got to pay a cold caller. But if you want totally cheap marketing, people that are in foreclosure, they publish it at the courthouse, in the newspaper, and then wholesalers. They don't cost you a nickel.
Right.
Okay. That's it.
This one, just a comment.
Using Yelp is a good place to find a notary and other services. That's correct, Vincent. Thanks for sharing. I'm curious, thinking a mobile notary would be state dependent, state by state. It depends on whether they're licensed, Mark. Normally, you're going to be looking for somebody in the town where you're doing that business. And some people have a license in multiple states, but most of them it is going to be state specific.
Yeah, I don't quite understand the question. And then I think this is the last one.
I think that as long as you have the deed and ownership, you can get insurance. Well, I think he's talking about Cindy's issue. He doesn't have a power of attorney, and she doesn't have a power of attorney, so she can't make contact with the mortgage company. And so, yeah, that could be complicated. I would think that, there may be another solution for that situation, but I'm thinking buying that second policy if she's really worried about something happening to it. But I would be more worried about it for liability purposes. Now, maybe she's got an umbrella policy that covers her with regard to anything that, her business, anything business related. But if something happened on that property with a tenant or whatever it may be. Cool. I need to find some wholesalers. Yes, Wayne, you do. They're out there, man. They're busy little beavers. So they're calling thousands of sellers each and every day, and most of them can't sell for 60 cents on the dollar. So what do they do with them? They pass them on to you. Okay.
Okay, we got one more.
One more.
That's it.
Is that Noel? Who pays property taxes, you or your buyer? Who gets to claim the tax returns? Whoever owns it pays the taxes. We mirror our escrow for property tax and insurance to our buyer. Whatever we pay, we get billed for it. They pay it every year. Who gets to claim the tax returns? Our buyer gets all of the benefits of ownership. What that means is the tax deduction for interest paid on their loan. We get to write off the interest we pay on the underlying note as a business expense, taxes. Okay. Hope that answers the question. USDA has forced placed insurance paid via escrow. Well, I don't know. I guess if I were you on that one, Cindy, they're covered, but you're not. So all the equity you build up, you're just going to lose. Then there's a liability factor that I mentioned earlier. So unless you've got an umbrella policy that covers you in case you get sued with regard to your business, if somebody gets hurt there and they come after you, that could be a problem. But the bank, they're made whole if something happens to the house. So I would either refinance that thing or sell it outright probably, or talk to my insurance provider about a policy that would pay me for the equity that I built up in that property. That's what I would do.
Isn't forced place insurance really expensive?
It is high. It's super high. I mean, most times I've seen it put in place on someone in foreclosure, it was several times higher than a regular
Right.
policy. And it doesn't include liability, and it doesn't cover you at all. It just pays off the underlying debt to the lender. It's a horrible product, but that's the penalty. So,
Okay.
all right, are we done?
Well, we're over.
Okay, well, we're done. We've got most all the questions. If we have any more, you guys let us know. We'll be glad to come back and answer them in the group or here on YouTube. Ask those. We'll get them answered for you. Appreciate you guys coming out today.
Yeah, me too.
Oh, Jody, gosh.
I know. I feel like I'm just like Vanna White or something here today. They're all technical questions that only you can answer.
Oh, no. Don't let her fool you. You guys at Max at the Mastermind saw her. She knows everything I know, and then some.
I know
She's my boss. I know she knows stuff. So, all right, guys, we'll see you again next Thursday. In the meantime, check out $7 coaching for the most. Jody, I'm not even going to touch that. Check us out at $7 coaching.
Well, they're shorts, but that counts.
Yeah, that's right. For the most affordable coaching on the planet, Sub2 Max, if you're interested in beyond and attending our next masterminds, we'd love to have you. So until then, get out there, talk to some sellers, and
buy some houses.
Okay, guys, we'll see y'all. We'll see y'all next week.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Gotta play the video.
My producer is not helping me this week. So,
all
right, guys. See y'all next time. Y'all have a great day. Bye-bye.
Bye.